Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to make fabric curtains inside of Sketchup using the Clothworks plugin, and how you can easily make these fabrics with very flowing textures inside of Sketchup. So first thing we want to do is create a rectangle plane on the ground. This is going to be our collision plane. So we'll select all this and make it a group, and then we'll go to our Clothworks plugin and set this to a collision item. Now we'll draw out a new rectangle. I'm making this 10 feet by 6 inches. And then I'm going to take this rectangle and rotate it up on the green axis 45 degrees. And then I'll copy this over and rotate it around, basically trying to create a quick triangle. So we'll take all these pieces and we'll just copy them over, snapping to each side, and just type how many you want in the letter X, and it'll duplicate that movement. Select everything and make it a group. I'm going to go into this group and apply texture to it. And then once we make this a group, we can select it. Actually, before we do that, we want to create like a pin. So I'm going to create a curtain rod that I can run through this to give the curtain something to pin to. So I'm just going to create a small cylindrical shape and make this into a group as well, and just kind of move it into where the rod would be going through the curtains, and make sure it overlaps each end a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but we'll take both these items and we'll move them up. I think I'm going to move up 8 feet. So our curtains are 10 feet long, but I moved them up 8 feet. This way they can drag along the ground just a little bit. So I'm going to rotate on this bar here 45 degrees just to kind of speed up some of this process. So I'll select the curtain and right click and make that a cloth element. And then I'll select the it again and add adaptation grid to it and say okay. And now that I have that, and I'm going to go and select the rod and say make pin. And now if we play this, it's kind of falling through, so I'm going to go to this pin adjustment and turn the padding up a little bit from 0. And now you can see it's grabbing hold of that mesh element, and as it falls, the rod is keeping the fabric up, but it's allowing it to drape onto the ground, and whatever it hits, the collision layer on the bottom will collide with the fabric mesh, and basically it will create a cool curtain effect on the ground. So you can just click and drag to select the pin, that bar that we created, and you can rotate it, move it around, adjust it, even scale it in sometimes if it's behaving properly, and that way you can kind of move your curtain around the way you want. You can also pick points inside of the fabric and pull them. If you want to tweak certain little areas, you can do it that way. But just kind of move your fabric around a little bit to give it that kind of natural feeling. And once you're done, just hit the stop button and your curtain will be made. So you can see what it did. It kept the properties because we applied the material to the fabric before you create the drape, the gravity setting to it. It actually retains the properties of the material, so it maps it to the UV coordinates of the material, which is really helpful for later adding any particular items to that material.